The dust has settled on patch 1.17.2 on TurtleWoW. Developers have already announced their intention to buff and patch certain portions of the game, course correcting as necessary, but I wanted to take some time to evaluate from the community's perspective or from a player's perspective the state of TurtleWoW right now, how it's doing as a whole after the biggest patch the TurtleWoW community has ever seen. I want to evaluate things not to destroy or to attack the game, that's not my intention, but to offer honest input to help aid both the developers and the community in making a game we love greater. Let's cover some of the good and some of the pain points with this recent update to help analyze the health of this update overall. A great deal of my experience when playing 1.17.2 has been on a warrior character, so I will be speaking with that point of view and with the help of 20 years experience playing both vanilla and classic private servers over the years. I'll cover the pain points first and the positive changes next. Okay, the first pain point is tanking is a mess due to buffed player damage. Threat for me is going all over the place in dungeons or raids, and tanking kind of feels like it's more retail right now just because of the power level of players. While all of the classes are playing incredibly fun playstyles right now, they look really exciting to play. I think until things are more balanced, threat is kind of just peaking because of the huge spikes. Like, for example, survival hunters are kind of breaking damage meters when I play with them, when they have these crazy crits, and threat will go over to them, and oftentimes these players don't know how to use disengage, or arcane mages will sometimes have some really huge bursts that will cause threat to go over to them. So right now as a tank, I am running all over the place, and a lot of these issues can be solved with good communication, so we're still able to get it done. But really what's ending up happening in dungeons and raids is we're kind of not even really tanking. We're just bursting through all of the encounters as quick as we can, which in turn makes us not really take as much damage. So we're really strong right now. And a lot of issues mentioned with the tanking pain points could be better if players were behaving more skillfully. I think one of the biggest issues is when you're in dungeons, a lot of players don't know how to use their new toolkits, or they just want to see big number go up as high as possible, and they don't care what that does to the tank. They really don't care. In fact, it probably feels pretty good to them. They think they're doing better if they get threat or aggro, They don't realize that, I got to run over and, try not to get dazed, to get the mobs, or try to communicate with you and bring comms up when comms should be spent for more crucial activities to get the mob off of you. So in my opinion, this is probably the biggest issue we're facing in patch 1.17.2 because PvE is the largest and most prevalent community activity on the server. More people are doing dungeons, more people are doing raids than any other form of content. So this is going to be the biggest pain point for me, especially as a tank. Things are going to get better as classes get tweaked back into a good position. But I think it's important that we continue to try to identify and communicate about tanking and PvE as a whole, and giving feedback on our classes as we go to help make things like this better. Okay, so my second pain point is that PvP balance is in a really rough spot right now after update. Now, PvP is actually my favorite thing to do in World of Warcraft, and it always has been my favorite thing to do. WoW has always been like a chess game for me, especially classic. Some classes are better at defeating other classes. It's kind of this battle of give and take. So I was really excited to see what would happen with the update. And whenever an update drops for PvP, it is the most fun time to experience it because no metas are established yet, and you get to see the creativity of other players at work. You get to see people solving problems and how they're approaching certain difficulties in PvP, and it's a lot of fun to experience that. It mixes things up. The stale old meta gets refreshed, and it brings a new life to PvP. But as a warrior with gear, there are some things that I'm noticing, some trends with certain classes that I kind of wanted to bring up and get feedback from the community on how they feel about it. The first thing is, as a warrior with gear fighting non-geared feral druids, I have to work really hard to kill these druids and outperform them in damage. I'm not limited to kiting to take them out of form, using fear and bandaging to avoid some of their DPS spikes that hit me, using consumables or trinkets, and Of course, charging in first to gain the advantage is super crucial with feral druids. Druids can straight up just spam claw attack in cat form right now and win in straight damage with very little gear fighting an epic geared warrior. You know, I'm losing about half my fights with feral if I don't have any of my consumables or anything ready. Like if I've had another fight and I'm getting into a new fight with a feral druid, I've noticed there's a good chance I'm going to lose that encounter. I'm absolutely crushing caster classes right now with about 100% success rate. They can't touch me as a warrior, mainly because I'm bringing consumables when I fight them. And even in some of those cases though, shadow priests can out damage my flasks and resistances. And sometimes in 2 dots, they can pretty much almost kill me as a warrior with stamina. So their damage is pretty good. Hunters are pretty much impossible to touch right now if they're survival. As a warrior, you get, or any melee class that gets close. As soon as you get close to a survival hunter, they trap you and they pretty much just do an instant reset for me. Unless I've got a trinket up, they're going to get away. And even in a lot of those cases, because of the hamstring nerfs, they're having a lot easier of a time getting away from me. I'll have to intercept, try to time it with my hamstrings or use piercing howl. But most of the time when I get close to a survival hunter, they're just trapping me and they're running away. And they're getting away with almost 100% success rate. There's nothing I can do. As soon as they get close, they're free. So kind of a fun playstyle for survival hunters, but I feel like it's kind of busted. Rogues are not a threat to me anymore at all because subtlety has been changed from, subtlety was widely regarded as the main or primary PvP specialization. And I feel like that identity's been shifted. So now subtlety rogues are more of a support class than they are like a PvP focused class with subtlety. So that identity's kind of been destroyed for them. I think it's important to mention that this is just initial feedback from casual play, like we said earlier. And this is a change to a 20-year-old game, okay? So nobody's going to have perfected the meta, and new playstyles may still emerge that may change how these are feeling or how these experiences are. And these can happen very quickly, right? Like somebody could identify something next week that's super overpowered with Rogue, and that playstyle may become more dominant with them. But as it stands right now, I'm having no trouble crushing them in PvP, especially if they're subtlety. They really only stand a chance if they're combat, and let's be honest, with overpower, they don't survive very long. All right, the third pain point I'm feeling. This relates back to the first pain point we talked about in the video with tanking going all over the place, but the game is feeling too easy. One of the biggest draws for me to vanilla World of Warcraft over the years is the game's ability to be both casual and challenging at the same time. Easy to learn, yet hard to master. If you look at most games nowadays, you could play the game with your eyes closed and still get awards and achievements just for being in the game. Most of these games are 1 to 2 button presses to get through the entire game with no challenging mechanics. The reason vanilla World of Warcraft is so special to me is it challenges me. It's exciting. And currently in patch 1.17.2, I'm finding myself incredibly bored with content because myself and my groups are completely steamrolling everything we come across. After patch, most players are able to solo elites prior to level 60, prior to getting gear. And it was nearly impossible to do that before patch unless you were certain classes or unless you were one of a very select, highly skilled players. One of the things I crave is challenge. Without that challenge, my desire to play the game starts to fizzle out. I enjoy a lot of the updates they've done, but I hope that the classes kind of get reined in a little bit and some of the PvE content becomes as challenging as it was, because I crave that. I need that. I got a new jacket. Fourth pain point. Many of the iconic player identities and playstyles were destroyed. So mages can no longer AoE farm with Blizzard, which was an iconic staple of their class for 20 years. Arcane is straight up just the most viable spec to play right now, surpassing Frost and Fire, instead of all the specializations all feeling brought up towards a similar level and equal. Paladins can no longer be Shakadins, a beloved and niche playstyle that allowed them to not only be healers, but also to be really lethal in PvP, depending on how the player was. A lot of the Paladin changes were really good here, and you could probably tell the developers do play Paladins because the changes feel so fleshed out, right? Paladin feels like overall like very, very good upgrades with the exception of Shakaden. Subtlety rogues are completely erased from the game and turned into a group support specialization, and subtlety rogues had a really unique identity before, and they were very PvP oriented, very focused for solo PvP players. In fact, they might have been the #1 go-to for solo PvPers just because of that niche. Warlocks, which used to be equal to mages in raids due to frostbolt spamming and shadowbolt spamming, now just feel like worse mages. Arcane is more fun to play, and Mage has more damage options and rotations in combat, which makes Warlock feel kind of overlooked. People who play Warlock are saying that really they should just roll a Mage because they just feel like a worse Mage in raids. Not to discount any of the cool things that they get in PvP. Alright, and again, it's at this point in the video that I want to reiterate, we are all passionate and care greatly about this game, okay? I don't want to diminish the efforts of the TurtleWoW development team. The point of this commentary isn't to catastrophize or ruin the community. It's to focus on pain points and share, giving feedback with each other to help our community become better. We're all a part of it. I know some people are upset, and I'm highly anticipating that some people will be upset. I've seen a lot of comments. I've even seen comments that say, hey, listen, I think you're being too positive. Yes, I am being positive. I think in times of change and in times of flux like this, I think it's more important to keep an air of optimism and stay focused. Okay, because it's easy to devolve into a vicious circle of negativity, but it's better to be constructive and focus our efforts as a team, as a community together on what we can improve and giving feedback. It's just healthier and accomplishes more in my opinion. So yes, I am being positive to those of you who hate some of the positivity. But let's just be patient, guys. This is the greatest community we've ever had as a vanilla community in general. So let's be patient. Let's be strong, guys. Things are going really great. I like a lot of the changes. I'm sure a lot of you are with me on that. You know, a lot of these are improving a lot of things that have been gripes in vanilla. And I can see, you know, history tends to repeat itself. Before the update, we had the most enjoyable version of vanilla World of Warcraft under the TurtleWoW development team. Okay, history will repeat itself. The developers are heading back towards that and making these changes kind of dialed in. So I just want to reflect on that. Now I want to talk about some of the great changes that we've experienced. The new itemization that the dev team has implemented could have been a patch in and of itself. The extensive list of items and the expansion of the loot tables for vanilla is incredible, including the new table which adds a lot of new jewel crafting to instance drops or world drops. The tier 3.5 gear, 3.5 gear, for the most part is incredibly well designed and aesthetically pleasing, except for hunters because we hate you guys.
I am having a very bad day. I am in no mood.
No, I'm just kidding. But the gear design, tailoring the gear design to make it for different specializations of each class was such a thoughtful and cool implementation for the game. We have jewel crafting in vanilla, guys. That feels great. I love seeing people already leveling and learning where trainers are located in world chat, working together to kind of piece together this new trade. Some of the rings you can craft are insane, and I easily see them becoming best in slot pre-raid items based on drops I've seen already. And it's just overall been an awesome improvement to the game. I'm very thankful for it. The new dungeon updates. This is easily the greatest part of the entire patch, man. The new dungeon areas in Wailing Caverns and Dead Mines, Scarlet Monastery, they've been such a delight to go back and revisit. They're clearly very concerned with making lore-accurate expansions, and these dungeons, they got so much flavor that they already had, and they were so iconic. I'm so ecstatic to see this kind of expansion to the vanilla experience. You know, it just adds so much to the game. Thank you for this one. All the classes are feeling incredibly fun and powerful. I don't think I've seen a single class that didn't get some level of attention in this update. And overall, every class I've seen or played alongside has looked incredibly fun to play. Even Warrior, despite its changes, has been so amazing. I mean, look at the changes that they've done even with protection. It's no longer a death march. If you wanted to level up protection, your damage potential is higher. It's great. Your rage generation's higher, so you're not rage starved. And Even with some of the other healing specializations like Holy, it looks like their damage potential is higher too. So what I like that I'm seeing with this new update, in the direction that it's going, is players can choose their favorite specialization. They don't have to choose a leveling specialization and then change specs when they go into raid or whatever. You can play your favorite specialization more viably now. And I think that is one of the strongest additions to the vanilla that needed to happen for so long. So this is great. And once we get the fine-tunement on the classes so that the game is challenging, or as challenging as I think vanilla should be, I think we're going to be 10 times better than we were before. The developers' communication has been outstanding. One of the most critical times to have good communication is during a period of change. I think the Turtle team has been very good at communicating via Discord or forums at what's going on, and even getting ahead of the curve after a couple of unexpected hiccups to start communicating pretty far in advance. If there's a patch or a hotfix, we're getting a communication on it very quickly as a community. Many of the gripes or pain points experienced up to this point are known by the developers. They have communicated that they do know about it, and have also communicated that they have a plan in place to fix or fine-tune it using feedback from the community. So those are my thoughts on some of the pain points and some of the good things with the game right now. I think a lot of the other pain points that I'm maybe not covering are kind of summarized by some of the other issues, like the game being more challenging or fine-tuning of classes. But those things are coming in time, and I tried to focus on the most important pain points that I think are occurring right now, namely, the PvE and PvP situation. But in closing, I hope that we can continue working as a community to make this the greatest WoW experience of our lifetime. And I'm very thankful to be a part of the community at this point in time. To be here for the project right now during the initial changes before it blossoms into the greatest project we've seen in the vanilla community. I'm very thankful for that. I'm very optimistic for the future of the project and to be here for the unfolding of the events that are taking place. Currently, Mythix is developing a video comic series about a personal D&D campaign. So for those of you who are interested in Dungeons & Dragons, I hope you check out our creative project. Episode 1 is out on the channel now. We're planning on more, and we're going to turn it into a big series. So I hope you like it. I want to say thank you personally to the now almost 3,000 subscribers. I am incredibly humbled and grateful for all the support and discussion that we've had in the community. Please let me know what you'd like me to do or what you'd like to see more of with this channel moving forward. The most upvoted comment or the most prevalent comments that I see of what you'd like to take place on the channel is where I'll take the next video project. I'd like to close the video by showing some of my favorite community comments that have appeared on the channel. Thank you again. We'll see you in the next video.